Hello, my friends, and welcome to the Talking Cryptocurrency podcast. I'm your host, Jason Rigden. On this episode of the show, we are talking to the founder and CEO of Instant Sponsor. They're making a blockchain-powered global sports sponsorship marketplace. But before we get to the interview, I've got this quick message. I really hope you like this show. I put a lot of work into it. If you do like it, would you please consider doing something for me? Give me a review on Apple Podcasts. Now, if you're a hardcore podcast listener, you are probably sick of hearing this. Every show begs for reviews, and it's a little annoying, but it does make a big difference. Those reviews help people decide to subscribe. They help guests choose which shows to go on. Those ratings and reviews for the shows are a direct way you can help this show grow. So, if you like this show and you want more, please help me. Take the time and give the show a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or iTunes, or whatever they're calling it now. Hello, today I'm here with Anthony Puntoriero of Instant Sponsor. How are you today?
I'm well, Jason. How are you?
I'm doing great. So could you tell me a little about the problem you're trying to solve here?
What Instant Sponsor sets out to achieve is to create efficiency in the sports sponsorship landscape. The ecosystem for sports sponsorship, traditionally speaking, is a very slow, many points of contact, very inefficient process that we are trying to create more efficiency in, utilizing the blockchain and smart contracts.
And how are you solving this problem?
Well, we're solving this problem. We've actually been in existing business. It's been in operation for the last 4 or 5 years. We feel that we need to upgrade the efficiency in the landscape and in our system specifically. We're solving the problem utilizing, smart contracts to get, create that efficiency in the process of buying sponsorship opportunities. We're also creating a platform which is a conduit between sponsors and rights holders to engage in real time. And I think that efficiency in the marketplace, utilizing the smart contract and the blockchain elements, is also really critical when you talk about cross-border transactions and legal fees and things along that line. So what we are doing is obviously minimizing the touch points to get engaged with sport and entertainment sponsorship, but also creating a more secure and more efficient platform in which you can do so.
And what kind of sponsorships are we looking at? Are they like the billboards on the field, or is this like athlete endorsements?
Exactly. So it's all of the above, basically. It is the dasher boards at ice hockey, courtside signage at the NBA. It's home plate rotational in Major League Baseball. It's hats on golfers and tennis players competing in the world's biggest events, Wimbledon, US Opens, British Opens. And it is sort of logos on shirts. It's we can go as deep as really the imagination lets us. We also do social media, which is a big part of it as well. Appearances, we're working on, this with some pretty high level talent, top tier celebrities in the sporting world right now. And also a lot of top tier sporting teams across the codes that I mentioned: NBA, Major League Baseball, English Premier League, and things like that.
And is the system live right now?
It's not live. We're actually in the process we're pre-ICO right now. The existing business, as I said, is being upgraded, if you like, to create a more automated platform where it cuts out sort of the middleman, if you like, and provides teams with access to sponsors that they want to pitch to, and it provides sponsors the access to teams that match the demographic that they want to reach out to, maximizing obviously their exposure for every dollar spent, in that game of marketing.
And what made you choose the blockchain to enable this new technology?
Well, many reasons, really. I think the security of it and the efficiency obviously comes to mind first. Creating a payment system that is, almost instantaneous is really such an advancement on how we deal with that today. In the traditional world, we're still sending, banking receipts for payments that are made. It's such an inefficient process that even if you wanted to brand, an NBA team, say this month, you probably couldn't, because you'd be going back and forth with legal fees and other legal expenses around contracts and stuff like that, but also legal fees, banking fees, transaction fees, and all that. So we aim to sort of minimize that time, obviously, is probably the key point. And, we tell our clients that you can get on an NBA team courtside signage tonight, this evening. Literally, we just need a logo. You go through our smart contract process, engage with the team that you're wanting to do a partnership with, whether it be for one game, whether it be for the whole season. And we can pretty much facilitate that, within real time.
Okay. And are you using an existing blockchain, or are you making a new one?
We're actually using an existing one. So we're in the process of I can go into a bit more detail, shortly. But yeah, we're using an existing one. Yeah.
Okay. And so are these the big leagues, or are these the smaller leagues, like the minor leagues?
We would love to do work with the minor leagues. We think that is also a huge sponsorship opportunity, but at this point, it's more major league level, NBA level, English Premier League, and the PGA and US PGA Tour, European Tour, tennis tours, and stuff like that. So it is more the top end of town. But in saying that, community and entertainment and mid-tier athletes to low-tier athletes are still very much on our radar.
Okay, so what have been some of the challenges of this? Was it hard approaching the sports teams with this new technology?
It is and it isn't. We came up with this idea basically to begin Instant Sponsor because there is a lot of inventory that goes unsold game by game, weekly, monthly, yearly. Really, we're filling a pain point for the team, creating more revenue for them, which is, the ultimate goal of Instant Sponsor. I think the challenges that we do face is that they deal in a more traditional long-term approach. So the current environment for a manager would be to try and secure the longest term deal possible and then, worry about renewing that in 12 months or 2-3 years time. We sort of disrupt that model. We allow sponsors to get involved, game by game effectively. So it is changing the mindset to a degree, but we prove our value saying, well, if you have this much inventory that is available, that's unsold, we can sell it for you. We'll pick up, the so-called crumbs of say $10,000, $20,000, $5,000. It might not be the $100,000, $200,000, $500,000 contract, but, we feel like those crumbs can add up to that at the end of the season. So that's our sort of pitch to teams. And also to have, a database, if you like, where teams can go out and search for sponsors in specific categories that open up within their organization. Say a team loses a car sponsor or an airline sponsor. The ability to go onto our platform and to reach out to those sponsors directly saves a lot of time. And even, top general managers at top NBA and Major League Baseball teams are still cold calling brands to see if they can get on, get sponsorship. So we do create efficiency on every level we see. As far as the brands are concerned, creating, that one-stop shop where you can browse, you can procure sponsorship, and you can actually do the transaction, creates that ease and efficiency for them to participate as well. And I think that's something that, these days you really need to have a win-win-win. And we feel like we definitely come under that umbrella.
Interesting. So you said that sponsor could get their ad up very quickly. Are the contracts very long?
Well, that would depend on the type of engagement that a sponsor wanted to do. So obviously, if it was a game by game type thing, it wouldn't be. If it was a long term deal, if it was something that was, a year long or multi-year deal, then obviously it would be different. So there are a lot of restrictions to companies. Obviously, you can't compete with other brands that are involved with the team, and there are all sorts of things that we can sort of minimize before that contract process actually takes place. And then you've got to consider, what can that brand do with images and things like that. So there are some complications, but we try and simplify and make that process as simple as possible and make it as clean cut for the brand that wants to engage. And, we don't just lower the entry point for big brands, we lower the entry point for all brands, bringing a larger pool of sponsors to the table, which we believe will drive up sponsorship at all levels.
Okay, so like if a team was looking through your database of sponsors, they might be able to maybe look for people that are more local?
Yes, exactly. They could look for local brands. We work with a lot of, either large brands all the way down to startups and mum and pop shops as well. So there is that that ability to localize. But you give a really good example, because a lot of brands we work with now in the Chinese market, they want to play in more Western sponsorship opportunities, whether it be NBA, Premier League, or events like that. So that's where it becomes interesting, because we can localize it for their viewership or for their sponsorship in China or wherever that might be. But at the same time, these teams are global players now. They don't just play in the Dallas area or the LA area. They really play globally with television rights, and obviously with the ability to stream sport on the go through any device you like, really, and all the type of platforms that are out there. So that's exciting for us, because that is obviously going to increase the eyeballs, increase the viewership, and in turn drive up sponsorship revenues.
And the sponsors haven't had any issues with blockchain technology at all? I hear sometimes people talk about them being, the bigger brands being a little bit slow and a little cautious sometimes.
Yeah, I think you're always going to get that that time where people are trying to understand. And look, it is relatively new what we're doing, and the whole industry as a whole is relatively new. I think from a security standpoint, and cutting out fraud and sort of fraudulent payments and scams is huge. In actual fact, we have looked at some companies that do this for more traditional advertising, and really, there is a huge pain point there, money going to waste through fraud or through scams and things like that. So the ability to sort of counter that and not wasting a dollar of your marketing spend, whether it be through excessive legal fees, whether it be through the bank fees, transaction fees, whether it be through scams and things like that, creating that security around this really gives us more of a framework to act in confidence. And I feel like brands will be more confident to get engaged with Instant Sponsor and dip their toe in the sports sponsorship space, with the idea that they might think, well, wow, this is a great engagement. We did a signage at an NBA game. We got this many viewers. We could track it. We tracked our social media. We used a coupon code that was redeemed X amount of times. So really, we are creating a more sort of dynamic, sports sponsorship landscape, but also letting companies of all sizes, whether it be a small brand or a big brand, play on the same playing field. And that's something that they can't say that they've done previously.
Okay. And as far as the technical side goes, how hard was it to integrate these sports venues? I imagine there's going to be a lot of sports venues that are involved here in with the blockchain technology.
Yeah. So look, the pain point that we are really, filling and facilitating is creating that conduit for sponsors to access, rights holders' inventory, whatever that might be, whether it be, like we said, a team, an athlete, or wherever that could be as well. So we feel that integrating the blockchain and smart contract process into that creates a more efficient, seamless process. Also, the matching algorithm that we use connects a brand with the most relevant opportunity. It actually scores those opportunities from 10 being the best down to 1. And that's really important, because when you fill out the brand you are, the sort of demographic you want to target, the age group, the salary, all that, you really can pinpoint down the most relevant opportunities for your brand. And I think that's what's going to set us apart, from the market. I also think, utilizing that efficiency, being able to watch a golf tournament or a tennis tournament and be able to brand that player for the next day of play, or as they progress through, let's say, a Wimbledon, or as the weekend hits, at the Open Championship that was just on, you can sort of jump on the horse, if you like, once the race has started, and you can maximize your exposure. We know that this guy's in contention. We know that there's going to be some, TV eyeballs on that person. And I think that's what's exciting in the, that's the innovative part in the space. I also think that, the current traditional system of sports sponsorship doesn't allow for that. They want, typically long-term deals and sort of, for a sponsor to give, up, a lot of money for a long-term deal. We don't know how that player or how that team's going to perform. They might be a playoff team. They might go all the way to the Stanley Cup, as we saw sort of with the Las Vegas Knights. Or at the same time, you have top tier players, number 1, 2, 3 in the world at the last Open Championship that all missed the cut. So they're not around on the weekend. So we try and put it more as, as flexible as possible for the brand. The power is the money, and the brands have the money. So if we can make such a compelling story for them to engage with sports sponsorship and maximize their dollar, we feel that we have, the ability to create something really special moving forward.
Now, if sponsors wanted to pay in cryptocurrency, would that be possible?
Yes, that's possible. We accept fiat and also cryptocurrency. We are working on a go-to-market strategy with a few crypto-based companies. Our approach is about tokenizing sponsorship opportunities, which is exciting to us. We also feel this brings a whole new realm of players into the sports sponsorship market at all levels, and we're excited about that. But at the same time, we're very sort of clean-minded about where we sit in the landscape, and we're also very clean-minded about what we need to do to get to that next stage. So we feel that that's a huge part of our go-to-market strategy, which we are refining as we speak. And, we're excited about the possibilities that this can bring.
Very cool. So what are some of your plans for the future going forward?
So our current plans are we are trying to get on as many rights holders as possible, all the way from, say, a FIFA World Cup in 2022, Olympics in Tokyo 2020, all the way down to, I don't mean down, but, to sort of general top tier leagues like, your NBAs, your NHLs, your English Premier Leagues, your La Ligas in Spain. Our goal is to be the one-stop shop for sports sponsorship, and to be that and to get that to that position. I feel that you really need to work, from the top down. You need to try and secure as many of the larger rights holders possible, and then that will infiltrate down into sort of all the way down to community levels and entertainment, esports. I mean, really the sky is the limit. But without being too sort of loose in our approach, we're going after some sort of high-level inventory opportunities, some top-tier talent, some of the world's biggest sporting talent that you can think of that we're currently working with, and sort of working in a top-down approach. So as far as our current strategy, we feel that will give us the best chance to succeed and to also create the biggest bang, in the market, which to a degree is what it's all about. It's about creating as much hype as possible, and then it's about delivering the results to the teams and the brands. That's what makes us stick around long term, and that's our priority.
All right. And there's no ICO in the future? You haven't thought about maybe going that route?
We are going that route. We are in a sort of private stage right now. Our ICO is set for September this year. So we have obviously, the steps taken, and we are taking those current steps to bring on, investors and sort of in that space as well. So, we're confident about the offering. We have all sorts of different type of appealing advantages for teams and for sponsors to get involved, and how they can play, in this sports sponsorship landscape, for instance, sponsor in the most effective way for them. So, we're excited about where we sit, and obviously the next few months, time will tell, how successful we are, but we're definitely putting ourselves in the race and being as most prepared possible, and we feel that we have a great product and service to sort of bring.
Well, fantastic. Sounds really interesting. Was there anything that maybe I should have asked you that I missed?
I guess maybe just our social media handles. Obviously, we have Medium, Telegram, and all that. That's obviously important. But I presume you were going to mention that at some point.
Oh, yeah. That'll be all in the show notes. Yeah, I load those things up.
Okay, excellent. I mean, as far as, the technical side of it goes, we are still refining that. So in relation to your tech question, if you maybe want to, I don't know, I'm not really sure. I can get back to you on that even, every day it's changing. We're working with different companies that are providing, sort of the framework around the smart contract process.
Yes. It's pretty complicated.
Yeah. So, I mean, EOS is sort of one of them. We're working with some other brands as well. So it's that part is still a little bit wide open, so I don't want to mislead anyone.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
So you can sort of edit that out.
You want to go with the best solution possible.
Yeah, exactly. Because as you know, the landscape changes so rapidly, and we're trying to keep as tech forward as we can. So for us, our focus is to get, obviously the biggest players and teams and leagues involved, and that's our main focus, and then get them to sort of partner with us on, let's say, FIFA World Cup 2022, which we're talking to the relevant governing bodies that are associated with that right now. So, that would be a huge sort of feather in our cap, because we feel that if, we get the confidence from a brand like FIFA or Tokyo 2020, then really, there's a lot we can do, moving forward. So that's our main thing.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Jason.
Thanks, Anthony, for coming on the show. If you want to know more about Instant Sponsor, all the links are in the show notes. You've been listening to the Talking Cryptocurrency podcast. My name is Jason Rigden, and I have been your host. Thanks for listening to the show. If you liked it, would you please consider giving us a rating and review on iTunes? I look forward to talking to you again soon. Have a great day.